Mr. Karat, thank you so much for coming to PTI. It's been almost a year since the Lok Sabha elections. BJP faced a setback, their numbers went down. But since then, the assembly polls have given them a kind of boost. Where do you see the opposition standing today, and where is the India bloc today? Is it still intact, or a lot of parties, it appears, have some problem with Congress? So do you think that Congress is to blame for the situation India bloc is in today?
It is a fact that the formation of the India bloc and the cooperation between the constituents of the India bloc in certain states, if not all states, definitely led to the loss of the BJP of its majority in the Lok Sabha. That is, from 303 seats they came down to 240. And this is due to the broad platform of opposition unity, which is called the India bloc. Subsequently, assembly elections have taken place, and I think the biggest setback for the opposition has been the Maharashtra election, where in the Lok Sabha polls, the Mahavikas Aghadi, the MVA, did very well, and the BJP alliance was reduced to a minority of the seats. But the reverse has happened now in the assembly election. And we are not yet able to come to any conclusion because the situation in states differ from each other in a very big way. For instance, Jharkhand, the alliance, which most of them are constituents of the India bloc, they were able to defeat the BJP there. In Haryana, it was not possible. Yes, the general impression after these assembly elections is that the BJP has recovered ground in these elections. But I think it should not be directly linked to the fortunes of the India bloc, because the India bloc was primarily set up to face the Lok Sabha election. Now that that phase is over, I don't think any discussion or thought has been put in to how to proceed in the post-Lok Sabha phase. There is a need for a broad opposition platform or unity of the secular opposition parties. But it was not meant for specific state elections, you see, at that time. So how do you proceed with a broad opposition unity or platform in the coming days, I think needs to be looked at by all the constituents, discussed, and then some shape given to it.
But sir, we also saw, like in Maharashtra, the Samajwadi Party said that they were not given any space. Similarly, in Haryana, also some smaller parties said that, we did not get included. In Delhi, it's been talked about that there are certain number of seats where the margin of loss for Aam Aadmi Party was what the Congress got. So why is it that over a year, but no talks have happened about how to take this bloc forward? And is it kind of a setback for opposition?
Well, as I put it, the India bloc was set up, its focus was the Lok Sabha election. I don't think anybody thought of how to extend this to state assembly elections. What is the situation today is, in certain states like Bihar, or now elections are going to come in Tamil Nadu next year, you already had alliances of the opposition parties which predate the India bloc, the DMK-led alliance, for example, or the RJD-led alliance in Bihar, the Mahagathbandhan. Those states, because they already have fixed alliance, I think in the assembly elections you will see, then again you can say the India bloc has performed well. But the real challenge is post-Lok Sabha election, will this be only an electoral based platform? If it's only for election, then election to election. The character of the India bloc for assembly elections is going to be very complex. because many constituents of the India bloc cannot work together in the assembly election. You mentioned Delhi. Nobody really expected AAP and the Congress to work together, given the whole history. Nobody can expect the CPIM and the TMC to work together in an assembly election in West Bengal. So I think that opposition unity platform should not be linked purely to electoral, the field, you see. Thought has to go in because it came together because we were all opposed to the Modi government and the BJP, you see. Today the Modi government still exists it's in its third term, and the BJP is there as a ruling party. If the opposition parties are still concerned about defense of democracy, of secularism, of federalism, there are broad parameters on which the secular opposition parties, I think, can find common ground. It should be looked at from that basis. Then you can think of forward movement. If you make it purely electoral and each state assembly, I think it will get bogged down into all these conflicts and differing views. So you should have a broader perspective. What are you aiming for? That is an alternative to the Modi government and its policies. So you have to fashion out this platform. You have to reimagine the India bloc in that way, I think.
So coming to the CPIM, so the draft resolution for the 24th Party Congress has stressed on strengthening the CPIM and the left unity as well. So, CPIM, we have seen like they used to have many MPs in Lok Sabha. Since then, there has been a decline. So, how do you see this decline and what is the way forward? How do you strengthen the CPIM again?
You see, as far as the CPIM is concerned, it is a fact that the independent strength and influence of the party has not grown. At least I can say from the last party congress, that is 3 years ago. And even earlier, we have seen a decline in the independent strength or influence of the party. And that's primarily been due to the erosion in our base of support in West Bengal and Tripura, the two other strong states that we have. So the focus of our resolution and also what we are going to discuss in our forthcoming party congress in the first week of April is how do we strengthen the party, CPIM, the independent strength and influence and the mass base of the party. I think this will be the main focus in our congress. And for that we have conducted a political and organizational review of our work in the last 3 years, identified what are our shortcomings and weaknesses, both in our political work, in our ideological work and our organizational work. So this will be the main, I think, focus, while keeping in mind that our political task or goal still remains how to fight the BJP, how to isolate and defeat the BJP or the Modi government. For that you need wider unity. We recognize that. That is why I said how to maintain this wider unity or broader platform, that we will have to strive for. But at the same time, we don't see this as separate. Strengthening of the CPIM will also help strengthening the overall opposition unity or strengthening of the left. And we feel that the left's alternative politics or policies need to be projected at this time, which will be a rallying point for fight against the various policies of the Modi government.
So a lot of times it's also said that veteran Marxist leader Jyoti Basu, if he had become the Prime Minister of India, back in the days when, there was a situation, but he declined, and it is said often that if CPIM would have accepted it at that time, perhaps, the way forward would have been different. What do you say about that?
You see, when this issue came up, again, we should not forget that our main strength in Parliament at that time came from West Bengal. You see. Out of the 35 MPs we had at that time in the Lok Sabha, 25 of them were from West Bengal, you see. And our party does not think being in government or in any position will help to increase the strength of the party. You see. What we had our strength in West Bengal was over decades of work, struggles of the different sections of people for their rights, and that led to the formation of the left front government there. So the strength of the party does not grow or increase by having purely some ministerial positions. So that is why at that time we felt it won't be helpful. Politically we were committed to having United Front, that government at that time, and we made our contribution to that politically, but we did not think it would be very useful. The fact that this government was a minority government, don't forget that. It was dependent on the Congress from outside. So policy making, for example, will you be able to make policies which you think should be made when you do not have the strength, you see, inside the parliament or in the ministry or cabinet. So all these factors were there.
So you took charge of the party last year after the sad demise of Mr. Sitaram Yechuri. How challenging has the last 1 year been as you have prepared for the 24th Party Congress? And there are also a lot of speculations that who is likely to be the next General Secretary. Some names are also going around, like Comrade M.A. Baby's name and, or Comrade Salim. So can you enlighten us a bit on that?
Yeah, Comrade Sitaram's demise took place unexpectedly at a time when we had already started the preparations for our conferences leading to the party congress. So you can say midway, literally. We have started our branch conferences and local conferences in July, and in September this happened, which was a big blow for us. But our party has a system of work or structure where we have, it's strongly based on collective functioning. You see, you may have a secretary, but the secretary does the coordination and of a team. You see, so because our Politburo and Central Committee works on a collective basis, we were able to overcome this loss or gap immediately. In the sense, we started working more unitedly as a team. So we have successfully completed all the conferences. Conferences for us, unlike most of the other parties, means thousands and thousands of unit conferences. For example, I've just come back from Kerala, where 28,000 branch conferences were first held, you see, and then the local conferences, then the area conference, then district conference, then comes the state conference. So this process has just finished, and we are going towards the All India Conference. So that brings in this collective functioning. As far as the new leadership or new team, we have brought in the last party congress 3 years ago, for the first time, age limit for different committees. So in our central committee, our age limit was fixed as 75. Those who cross 75 will not be eligible to be elected to the central committee, which is the highest body of the party. And the central committee elects the Politburo and the general secretary. So we applied that in the last congress also. So some of us in the Politburo and central committee will step down due to the age limit. So there will be a renewal of membership, leadership, in the sense a batch of new people will also come into the central committee, and some of them will also be new in the Politburo. And along with that, we'll decide who should be made the general secretary. So it's a package. It's a new central committee, Politburo, and general secretary. So yes, some names are floating around, but we have a method of selecting this. We will discuss during the Congress what type of central committee we should elect. And on that basis, we will discuss about the General Secretary and Politburo. But that discussion will be taking place in Madurai during the Congress. We are there for 5 days, so there is enough time to discuss that.
Sir, recently a note was circulated regarding the draft resolution which clarified that the CPIM doesn't consider the present day government, Union Government of India, as neo-fascist. So, and it also said that the stand is different from other left parties. That was also explained. So, what necessitated this draft, this note, and can you explain that position?
Yeah, the first reason for that note was because we used the term neo-fascism. This is the first time we've used it in our party resolutions or documents. So when we discussed it in our Central Committee, it was felt that we must explain what we mean by the term neo-fascism for the benefit of our party members who will be discussing this resolution. So an explanatory note was attached in that sense to the resolution. So the term neo-fascism is to say that this is a newer form or new variant of fascism. It has some differences from the old classical fascism, and what are the new features in that, and in the specific Indian condition, what would constitute these features. That is what it sought to explain. In that process, we have said, we have not yet come to the conclusion that the government and state in India is fascist or neo-fascist, that is the term we use now. What we say is they are displaying neo-fascist characteristics. This is a process. If you see, the first time we used the term fascistic in our resolution about the present government or state or political situation, it was in our Hyderabad Party Congress in 2018, where we said there are emerging fascistic trends. So they were just emerging. Now, after 10 years of the BJP government or Modi government, we said they have now displaying those characteristics. They are no more emerging, you see. But we are using the term neo-fascist. But what we are stressing is, if you do not fight and check this trend or curb this or characteristics, then it will go towards full-fledged neo-fascist state or government. So the stress is on the need to fight against this or to struggle against it. The danger of its becoming neo-fascist is there. So therefore you need to fight it. That is to rally the forces to fight.
And so what would be the way about it? They also, the CPI Politburo in its statement said that Holi should be celebrated peacefully in light of some remarks that were made. Yeah. So what would you suggest are the ways to do it?
Well, you see, that's something which we are fine-tuning in even the document on organization, that there has to be a multifaceted struggle against this neo-fascistic trends or danger. One, of course, is the political sphere, the electoral sphere, etc. But that is not sufficient, because the BJP and the RSS are working in society in various spheres, religious, social, cultural, and so on. So we need to have intervention in these spheres also. We have specifically stressed that we have to strengthen our work in the cultural sphere. We mean not just as a party, but rally progressive forces to intervene in the cultural sphere, because these are areas in which the real struggle, ideological struggle is going on.
So you just talked about the strength that CPIM had from Bengal when it was at its peak. So what is the situation of party in Bengal today? Next year, West Bengal will also go to polls. And would the left Congress alliance continue, or can there be some additions or something may change? Yeah. So how do you see the way forward?
We have not discussed that part yet. In a conference this time, which we held in the end of February, what we have noted is that we are getting more support from the younger generation, students, youth, etc. And they have been very active in the various movements and struggles that have taken place. We saw how big mobilizations took place on this RG Kaur Medical College gruesome incident of rape and murder. I'm not talking only about our party, but all the left and progressive forces, they came out in large numbers, mobilizing the youth also in a big way. So we are trying to regain our influence among sections in whom we had lost support earlier. We have now realized that we must work very hard among the rural poor. That was our main base earlier. So we have made those plans. Some progress is there. It has not yet manifested in electoral success yet, but organizationally we have been able to regroup and reorient our work. That progress is there that we have noted in the conference.
Okay. And sir, do you think it will have an impact on the assembly elections next year?
That's what last time we had some understanding with the Congress party. I don't know whether that will materialize this time. It may also. We are not entered that stage yet of having any discussions on that. But we will be making a serious effort in the assembly elections as against the TMC and the BJP. Both we are going to oppose, and we hope to rally all the other left and democratic forces as an alternative.
Sir, Kerala is still a bastion of the left, and Kerala was also the first state to get an elected left government, and even today, like, a left government is there. The state, Kerala, will also go to polls next year, and Congress is your main rival there. So what are the expectations and what will be the roadmap for Kerala?
The current government, the LDF government, is on its second term, and that itself was a new precedent in Kerala, if I may put it, because Kerala has a history of alternative governments. Every 5 years the government changes. That pattern was broken for the first time in 2021. This itself opened up new possibilities and also new challenges, because everybody is used to this pattern of being in the seat of power for 5 years and then in the opposition, whether it's the Congress or us. But we have now entering the 9th year of the Pinarayi Vijayan government. So we have, with our experience in the first term, we realized also that let us have a more long-term perspective. That is why we have been talking about a new Kerala, a Nava Kerala, you see, how to build a new Kerala, which will become a medium developed country, what was called internationally as a medium developed country, that standards. Certain things have been achieved in Kerala earlier, the social indicators, education, health, all this infant mortality, all this in Kerala has always been ahead. But building infrastructure, technology, use of technology, creating new industries based on knowledge-based industries, all this may be ambitious, but this is one of the discussions in the conference was on a document on this, how to create a new Kerala. You see. So we have decided that this long-term thing may take some time to produce results, but we should not look at it narrowly. Next year is the election, so we do something only for keeping in mind the election. We are hoping that this will pay off, that people will understand that this government has seriously engaged in a path of development which is suitable for Kerala, and on that basis give us another vote of confidence.
So, but do you see BJP as any kind of a challenger in Kerala?
Well, it is a fact that the last Lok Sabha election showed a spurt in the support or growth of the BJP. They got 19% of the vote. So this is a new emerging feature And this is also discussed about how and why the BJP is able to gain support or penetrate certain sections, and what we can do to counter that politically. It is a factor which has to be taken into account.
And so recently there were some, rumors about Mr. Shashi Tharoor quitting the Congress and maybe he'll join the CPIM. So if that situation arises,
I
would
don't
the
think
CPIM want him?
I don't think Mr. Tharoor had in any way indicated that he is going to desert the Congress. I don't think he has given any indication of that. He has some views of his own, and uh, and he's not a run-of-the-mill politician. You know his background, so he sometimes speaks the truth, which which is inconvenient probably for the Congress party. So he is talking something about how startups in Kerala are showing remarkable progress. You see, so I don't think there is any truth in that.
There's also been a lot of concern from the southern states about Hindi imposition, especially with the national education policy's three-language policy. Do you see this as Hindi imposition or saffronization of education?
Well, you see, the Tamil Nadu, the current fears stem from the insistence on having a three-language formula, and there is a background to that. But I think the current government has been totally insensitive to the fears and apprehensions of the people of Tamil Nadu. That is, in some way or the other, Hindi is sought to be promoted. I think that's created these apprehensions. And the larger question is there of the NEP, the National Education Policy. We also have strong reservations about some aspects of this policy. Even our Kerala government, LDF government, also has reservations. The various ways, that is a broader question, not only imposition of Hindi. Education is a concurrent subject, and the bulk of education is run by under the state. But increasingly there is encroachment within that of the center. You see. So that's also one of the reasons in Tamil Nadu to fear that there will be imposition not only of Hindi but imposition of various other models of values in education through the national education policy. We share some of those apprehensions also.
And so do you think that the central government, has been able to deal with it, or like how do you see their reaction to the opposition that is there?
I think that, you see, on language, you have in India, we are a multilingual society. Even the Constitution 8th schedule recognizes, I think, 22 languages. These are considered to be the national languages. We consider all the languages have equal status. So in states with languages like, say, Bengali or Telugu or Tamil or Punjabi, all these languages are flourishing languages, you see, and they are spoken by people in states. Some of these states are bigger than many of the European countries, you see. So we have to recognize this diversity and recognize that language has its own course of development. So you cannot artificially, say this language is going to be the official language and everybody has to accept it or study it or use it. So language on their own, through social interaction, you'll find some languages get accepted by people who speak a different language. Just like English is now internationally found useful to learn and use. So Hindi, if acquires that sort of status of popularity, you'll find people accepting it. But it is not that stage now. So you should let all the languages develop, give them equal recognition and respect, and eventually one of the languages in India will acquire, I think, the status of a lingua franca. More people will acknowledge this language is, to be used and spoken. It will be for our benefit. It should evolve naturally.
So coming on the international situation right now, so many years ago, left had taken a stand on the India-US nuclear deal. Now today, we are seeing a point where US is imposing tariffs on everyone, including India. So somewhere, do you think that the stand that you had taken at that point stands vindicated today, and how do you see this whole issue?
Yeah, you see, people saw our opposition to the Indo-US nuclear deal only within the framework of that civilian nuclear deal. We saw it in a wider perspective because the real thing was America is saying, look, we will give you this nuclear deal. We'll remove all those earlier restrictions and prohibitions which were there. But the quid pro quo was that you come into a military and defense agreement with us, which we entered into, the 10-year military framework agreement. That was agreed before the nuclear deal. In June, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, who was the defense minister at the time, first went and made this agreement, then came the nuclear deal. So we said that this is part of forging of a wider strategic alliance with the United States. So we said we should not get into that type of alliance. Therefore, the nuclear deal is the sort of cementing factor for that. That is one of the major reasons for our objection. What's happened is what we said should not happen, happened. Because of that, then further, in the last 15-20 years, we have seen we are entered into much deeper strategic alliance. So now, when Trump has come, you are in a bind because when our Prime Minister went to Washington, what are two things Trump has extracted from us? One is buying more arms. They want to sell us. He's looking at it from America. America's armaments industry should boom. So, got in a commitment, we'll buy more arms. Second, we'll buy, I think, $10 billion more of energy from America, oil and gas. So, you are not in a position to say no. For example, that fighter plane they're offering us, F-35, it's something everybody says is not going to be suitable for India. It's unsustainable. It's highly expensive. But will you be able to say, no, we don't want this? You see? So my point is that Trump coming, the Trump presidency will pose very more new challenges for us. And our foreign policy and strategic designs or approach should be rethought so that we retain strategic autonomy. In a growing multipolar world, Trump's presidency can also give us opportunities to, utilize the strategic autonomy to strengthen our position. But it's something which is unfolding, and many things are unpredictable about the Trump presidency. So it's better to be cautious to say what should be done or not done is something we cannot say very clearly now.
But sir, when you talk about rethinking our international strategies in a multipolar world, India has good relationships with Russia and America, but India and China's relationships are a bit tense right now. So what would you say, what can be a way forward for India in a multipolar world?
I think for our own country's benefit and interest in a multipolar world, it is necessary for us to improve relations with China and set it in some sort of balanced, normal fashion. In that, some improvement or progress has been made in recent times in trying to de-escalate the situation in eastern Ladakh and to withdraw troops and to maintain peace and tranquility on the border. And the next stage, already the foreign ministers of the two countries have talked about other things, non-border issues, going to Mansarovar and giving more visas for travel, etc., relations. So I think that we are taking the right course now, and if we improve our relations with China, we don't have to become allies or, this thing. But if we maintain good relations, then our capacity to intervene and maneuver in this very complex developing international situation will increase and heighten, and that will be to our benefit.
Thank you, Mr. Karat. Thanks a lot for this interview.
Yeah. Thank you.